The following is the extract of a course linked in the description.
Hey guys, this is Krishna. Thanks for joining me in this new video. So what we're going to be looking at is mixing. Basically, the video I'm going to be making here is the walkthrough of the song that I'm going to share with you. You're going to have a similar file, though it's going to be a little bit modified, but you're going to have part of this file over here that I'm going to provide to you. So once you laid out the different tracks, right, the different melodies and the drums and maybe some effects here and there, the next step is usually to go to mixing, right? And with mixing the way I see it is make sure, number one, make sure that all the different tracks play well together. So we're usually looking at the volume as well, but we're also looking at the frequency. So making sure that we don't have a lot of instrument, maybe, sorry, that are playing in the low hand, right? So we want to make sure that we're making space for the bass and for the kick and all that. So it's a little bit part of mixing. If you were recording live instruments, um, there I think you would be spending a little bit more time on the mixing part, right? Because when the instruments are being recorded, there might be some imperfections there, so you really need to, to work on them a little bit more. But with a lot of the electronic music that is going on, a lot of people are using samples, and those samples, when they come to you, they've already been worked on a little bit, so you don't really need to do anything really elaborate. But again, depending on the kind of music that you're doing, it could be that you spend a lot of time on the mixing part. For me personally, I just make sure that the musicality is there, right? That the melody is there, that when I get to mixing, just arrange a little bit more the volume part, the frequency part, make a little bit more polish, and then I move to another track. Um, Another thing that I would say as well, depending on the kind of music that you make, especially nowadays, I feel that a lot of people, but usually that's for hip hop because a lot of hip hop producers, they're missing the. It's not everybody, right? But a lot of them, mm, they they miss the melody part. So usually they're trying to cover it with a lot of effects on top of it and some of those other stuff. So again, depending on the kind of, on the time, if you decide to use a lot of effects and trying to polish everything and put effects on everything, then you're gonna spend a little bit more time on the mixing part. So what I'm gonna do after after all this rant, I'm gonna walk you through just what I've just made here. It's a track that I just actually started from scratch here, and I'm gonna let you know what we have here. So let's listen a little bit to it. Um, Let me just make sure that I have this over here. Let's have a listen. So that's the track that we have over here. What's gonna happen is what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna consolidate the tracks that we have here, so you don't need to worry about if do you have the right plugin or not. Because if you don't have the plugin, when it's gonna open, it's gonna let you know you don't have those plugins, and basically there will be some part of it here you won't be able to play. So I'm gonna give you a different version that we're gonna be using. It's just gonna be the wave part over here, and most of the plugins are gonna be gone, so you're not gonna have any issues. But let me walk you through what I just have here. Some of the patterns. This is really simple. The first thing that I'm using is this over here. This is actually a loop that I actually got from Splice. So usually it depends. See, I just find it faster. I could come up with a melody like this, but uh, coming up with a melody from scratch every time that is very good takes a lot of time, right? So just to save that the time there for that process, I prefer to usually look for loops just for the idea. It could be a loop that is based on the melody, or it could be a loop that is based on the drums, and then I add the melody on top of it. But in this case over here, that was the loop that was based on the trumpet. So let's have a look at it. That's that's the loop. That's the loop right there, right? So what I did now is just came up here and I added some drums. Those are the drums. So this is the first pattern, and you're gonna notice that the drums over here I double the kick and I double the snare. That's just to give it a little bit more punch, a little bit more power. If I just try to, let's say, to take off, let's say, those two over here, so that's how it sounds, with just one layer and the two layers. It definitely makes a difference there. We have a second pattern over here. That's also just the kicks, but now we have an additional kick here that just give it a little bit more bounce. That's what we have there, right? Over here, this is just uh, um, an FX that I use. It's a siren. So usually I'm going to use it just to say that a different part is coming, right? We're changing, or another instrument is going to come in, a different part is coming in. We're moving from the chorus to the verse, or from the verse to the chorus, or from the verse to the bridge. This is usually just to say that something is coming in, right? And over here, what I have, I think this instrument over here was Analog Lab. It was like a whirly, yeah. So it's a little bit like a electronic piano that you have over here, electric piano that we have over here. And I believe I probably changed a little bit some of the, yeah, I probably changed some of the options of the some of the option of the preset there. As you will see, there is a little asterisk over here, so it wasn't like the original preset that came with the Analog Lab, but I had to make some changes there. But this is what it gives. So even listening to it right now, I actually have another variation for that melody that is coming to my head right now. But at the time when I made this song, that was the only thing that I had. So this is the only thing that I kept there. So the other thing that we have over here is this one. So this one over here, you did not listen to it when I played the track at the very beginning, just because it just comes towards the end, right? So that's why you did not listen to it, but you're gonna have the file, you're gonna be able to listen to it. And for this one over here, you see it seems like I've been using a lot of instruments, but at the end I just ended up using just the two over here layered, right? And you're gonna see over here I have some other patterns, but those one are not being used in the song. I was usually some of them were just melody that I was trying, and I'm like, it doesn't fit, but I just kept it there. I'm gonna try it some other time just to see maybe it fits. Maybe I have another idea from it, and usually this is what you're gonna have there. And some others, they were there before, and I felt, what, it could be, it's a little bit too heavy. It doesn't need that, and then I'm gonna remove it. But I just still keep it here. But you're not gonna have those. I'm just gonna have the ones of the final ones over here. Okay. So one last thing before I stop this video, you're gonna notice what I'm gonna do. So like I say, when you're making a track like this and you're using the FX, VST, FX, VST plugins and all that, what I would highly recommend when you feel that the song is at a good part is to consolidate those tracks. And consolidate, I mean, could be a heavy word. Basically, just means that whatever you use over here at the VST, make that track now a wave, a Nojo file, or Nojo, yeah, a Nojo file, a Nojo track, right? So the way we do that with FL Studio and most of the other, if you decide to use another software such as Logic or some of those other stuff, they also have a way to do that. So in FL Studio, the way we do it, we come up here. I just right click on this track over here, and I'm gonna go over here to consolidate tracks. I have the option of to consolidate it from the track start, which is basically is gonna start from where that track is starting the first time we have some information on that track, and we also have the option to consolidate it from song start, which is gonna start from the very beginning. It doesn't really make a lot of difference which one you choose. Song start because it starts from the very beginning usually, and usually the size of the file is going to be it's going to be a heavier file, but it doesn't really make a lot of difference. I try both of them here and there. I don't really see a big difference. I just feel that I would avoid random operation like moving a file where it's not supposed to be when I select the song start, right? So it's there. You know that that file is starting from the beginning. It's gonna be rare for you to it's gonna be really random for you to move it. But if you start over here, it could be that when you're changing some stuff here, you could move it from here to here. That could happen, but it hasn't really happened to me. But I'm just thinking that could happen. So we're gonna consolidate some of the tracks over here. You're gonna see at the bottom here I have some other tracks that are being named. Usually I use that really quickly to name my file. So when you're typing the same thing, melody number one, you always use that. It doesn't make sense to always come up here and type it. So just to save myself a little bit of time, this is what I have here. As well, when we go to the mixing, I also have this option here, but it's changed for me all the time, right? But this is something that I had set up uh, a long time ago, but it always changed, and now I'm not really using that setup anymore. But what I have here was some tracks were already being named, and as well I already had loaded some plugins, but I don't really use this configuration. I mean this configuration change, and you're gonna see what is gonna be the new one. So let's go ahead and consolidate some tracks over here. We're gonna select both options. So first of all, let's come up here and let's go with from song start. So it's just letting me know over here. The cut reminder basically said, do you want to stop over here, right over here? It really depends on you. Depends on what instrument that you have. Maybe to be safe, say leave remainder. And basically, if there is any effects or anything that is trailing behind, like echoes, it's gonna keep those echoes here until everything fade out, right? But if you say cut remainder, when it's gonna come up here and it stops over here, even if there is echoes, even if there are echoes, it's not gonna pick up those echoes over here, right? So we're gonna say leave remainder. Over here I'm trying to make sure that I have the highest quality, right? Make sure you do not have um, insert effects or master effects, because it's gonna pick them up. It's gonna, if you had some plugins that were in the you already routed this this track over here in the mixer, uh, and um, and you have some effects there. When you're gonna render it, it's gonna play with those effects, and then it's also gonna play the effects that is in the mixer. It's just gonna be double. So make sure that we have no effects, insert effects, we have no master effects. So we're just rendering the original song of the plugin. We're not taking into account any effects. And usually this is how I save it, and then should be wave is gonna have it there, and then we just go and we start it. It's gonna be really quick. Takes about a couple of seconds. Again, depending if the song that you have is the song is a song that lasts, right? A long song, then it's gonna take a little bit of time, but it's usually really quick. And as well, it depends as well on the processor that you have. So when it does that, you're gonna see over here in my case, what we have is the track that we consolidated is still there. So you could go back and maybe you say, you know what, I want to add some changes to it. You could always delete whatever you consolidated before and reconsolidate the track at that point, right? But it's there in case you need it, and then you just hide it like this, right? So you know that it's there. If you need to go back, it's available. So this was from song start. You see over here starting from the beginning of the song. We're also going to try to consolidate this one, but we're going to select from track start. Again, just the same option over here. We're going to say leave remainder as well, and let's go ahead. We're going to consolidate it. So you see in this case over here, it tends to start over here, and it seems to be a little bit faster, right? So this is what we have when we have from track start. Again, you could just hide this like this, and because we say to leave the remainder, we have something that is over here. But if you know that this part over here is really nothing, it could be just noise, you could always delete that part just like that. Okay, so this is how you consolidate the track. So I highly recommend that any track that where you're using VST, before moving to the plug to the mixing phase, that you consolidate those tracks, because you're gonna see here all those VSTs that are being used over here are taking up power. When you're using those VSTs and you're moving up here and you're adding additional VSTs, is it's overloading the system. And when you only have audio files, it doesn't use as much power, as much CPU power CPU processor than using the VST. So it's a lot easy on the computer. So this is what I would recommend, and we're gonna take it where I have already consolidated the tracks, and we're gonna continue there. Okay. So thank you for being with me on this video. I'll see you in another video.